Welcome everyone to Foreclosure Talk with Christopher Hall of Vestus. I'd like to begin by asking a pretty simple question. When is the right time to sell a property?
So if an investor comes to us in the very beginning, I think one of the most important things is to have a game plan, right? I mean, I think it's funny because it seems so logical, but you'd be amazed at how many people just jump in and just can't wait to buy a property and they don't have a game plan.
The game plan is to make money.
Yeah, the game plan is to make money. But the game plan, what I mean by that is to say, I own 5 rental properties. I have X amount of equity in my home. I do this for regular living. I've got this credit score and I've got this whatever. I mean, to put it together and say, what is my goal for the next couple of years? And
given one of those resources, given my situation, what can I really do?
Yeah. And here's the thing, I think it's important. Is it a good time to sell some of your rental properties right now, knowing that probably when you bought them, they lowered in value? Now the loan to value is probably not that great. Is it maybe a good time to get out of them, get into something else that you're walking into 25% equity, so that in 5 years you have 5 rentals that now have 30 or 40% equity? And I think the answer to that is yes. I do think it's a good time. I think it's a good time because, you know, everyone will always tell you you make your money on the purchase. And when you walk into equity, so sometimes people hold on to an investment forever waiting for it to come back.
Right.
Maybe it's some time to sell it, regroup, get into a better investment, and let those grow. Because if the market's going to go up 30%, you want to get out of the starting blocks the right way. So it's something I'm thinking about, and it's something I'm telling investors that, by the way, if you're in a position to hold 20 rentals, good for you. But most lenders don't like to look at investors after 4 to 10 properties. So unless you're paying all cash for these properties and just letting them sit, sometimes it's good to get rid of 5 and rebuy 5. Or again, like we talked earlier, it's a good time to start looking at when should I get a line of credit and when should I reposition myself. And I think this is an incredible time to reposition.
Can an investor just sell the property to a corporation that the investor owns and to get out of this bank?
That's a really interesting question. Depends on whether you own the LLC yourself or whether you own it with other people. I mean, sometimes you trigger excise tax. Sometimes you trigger capital gains on how it's been done. So I really do think that's an intricate question because it depends on how it is formulated from the beginning and how you sell it. It's kind of funny when somebody says, can I just sell to corporations? One thing I remind people is that if you're just going to sell to an investor, they want a deal too. So the best thing right now, if you're going to repossession, take advantage of this retail market because there is no supply. And everybody realizes the laws of supply and demand is what makes you money. When there's high demand and low supply, I'm going to get top dollar. And it wasn't that way 2 to 3 years ago. So maybe that's a good time to grab those. I mean, if everybody had a crystal ball, they would have sold in 06. I mean, they would seem like they're brilliant because they sold in 06 and 07. Well, they didn't. And the value of their property dropped 30%, and in some markets 50%. So now that we're in a good growing market, people have that chance again.
Well, that's great advice.
The one thing that I've been looking at a lot of different markets also is in the Northwest, whether it's in California, whether it's where you're at, Salt Lake City and Arizona. I was reading about Nevada last night. I was reading about all these markets that have hit the bottom that are rebounding. And so one of the things that I've been studying, this is just not in a few different pockets. Almost every market is rebounding because they have hit the bottom. So one last little thing that I've talked about repositioning, people have been asking me lately, is this a good time for me to buy my retirement home in Arizona? Is this a good time for me to buy in Nevada its ultimate low? And I think that could be part of your repositioning or game plan also.
Right.
Buy them there while they're at their absolute low.
Fantastic. Good. Well, thanks for joining us again this week for Foreclosure Talk with Christopher Hall at Vestus. And we'll catch you next time.
Great to see you, Stefan. See you next time.